You are on.
Okay. Hello. So today I'm gonna outline the various nursing jobs that you guys can do without handling patient care, because people have the assumption that nurses always take care of patients on a daily basis. When I mean about taking care of patients, meaning like, if a patient had a bowel movement or poop for 3 days, we put a medication through their butthole. That's one of the daily patient care. Or if I'm sorry guys, that's what I do. So or if they can't pee, I have to put a tube in their meatus, aka the pee hole. So so yeah. But before I begin, I want to show you guys the two types of nurses. This is the RN and the LVN. So you guys can see that the RN is on the top part of the hierarchy. That means that's the highest nurses level, and the LVN is the lowest one. So these are just some contrasts of what they can do. So an LVN can insert an IV, those needle that goes through your veins. The LVNs can do that, but they cannot push medication. The RN has to push the medication, while an LVN can diagnose a patient, but the RN can diagnose a patient. For an example, a nursing diagnosis would be the patient is activity tolerance related due to cardiac output, meaning the patient can't really do much activity like walking, like that kind of stuff, because they have low blood in their system, and they can't do anything. They can't walk or do much activity because when there's low blood in our system, there's not that much oxygen in our body, and that makes us tired. So an LVN can contribute to the assessment. The assessment is where, when you guys get admitted to the hospital, I don't know if you guys get admitted to the hospital, but they check your skin from your head to toe to see if you have any bruises, while the RN has to start the assessment. So now I'm going to talk about the different jobs that nurses can do that doesn't have to involve, doing all those patient care. One is being a teacher. Nurses don't have to have a teaching degree. They can just start teaching, but it all depends on how much they've been in the nursing field, so that they can share their knowledge through their students. They teach students who are not nurses yet, and they can also teach nurses to improve their education so that they can have better pay. Another job that they can do is the MDS. They're called MDS, and it stands for minimum data set. And what they do is they manage the rapid assessment process, and that's just their job to help to make sure that the nurses, they just make sure that they assess the patient. If there's anything wrong with them, they can tell the nurses, oh, you need to do this. And they also do the Omnibus Reconciliation Act, and that's just to make sure that the nurses are doing their job to help take care of the patients. Every year we have a new standard of what to do with each year we have more, they add more scope of practice. The scope of practice is what we can do to our patients. They add more. Okay. And then the next job would be the director of nursing. The director of nursing is pretty much the boss in the hospitals or in the facilities. It's just pretty much the team leader. The director of nursing is the one that makes sure that the nurses in the floor do their job. Make sure that when the surveyors come, that checks out the facility for doing, if the facility is clean. So yeah, so that's my speech.
So Natalie, let's hear from you.
I actually enjoyed it, but I kind of wish that she slowed it down a bit because she seemed like she was rushing through it. I wish you could explain a little bit more about like what LVN meant or what the other one. Sorry, I don't remember. Yeah, RN. Thank you. What that meant, and then also a little bit. I wish you could have gone a little bit further about the teaching job, like that you don't have to be a teacher, but you can teach. Yeah, I wish you could have like touched that a little bit more. It was good though. Yeah, the thing that like, bugged me a little bit more was like how fast it was, and the lack of like description and details a little bit.
Okay.
But overall, it was good.
All right, Nicole, we still have the same situation that we talked about a little bit before, that we've got information without necessarily a story or a point. I mean, I know ultimately that you're kind of trying to distinguish these particular sorts of jobs, but every time you turn around, it's and another thing, and here's something different, and another thing that people, and another, and it just feels like there's a string of these that are not pursuing a development. It sounds like maybe the best way to do would be to go through that hierarchy that you set up at the beginning. Say, okay, here are the two jobs, which I think that Natalie's right. You had them distinguished by the labels, but you never told us what the LVN and the RN are. You did tell us what the MDS is, so that came up later. MDS, did I get that right? Yes. You told us what that one was, but the other ones. So there's a hierarchy in the nursing field that these people are responsible for this, these people are responsible for this. Then there are these other groups that do teaching functions and administrative functions. And so what you need to do is kind of create a way to see what the relationship between all those points are. The idea that you want to tell us about jobs that don't require, doing direct patient care, inserting tubes in the pee hole or the the poop hole or whatever the technical term is, for those kinds of things. That's okay, but a lot of what you're talking about are those other kinds of jobs. Here's what an LVN does and here's what an RN does, which I didn't think is a bad thing. I think what you need to do is kind of change what your focus is and say, I want to talk about the different classifications and roles that nurses have in the medical field. Some of them provide introductory care, some of them provide advanced care, some of them regulate the caregivers themselves, some of them teach the caregivers, and some of them make sure that all the administrative stuff is complied with, so that you have a wide variety of jobs here. So let's classify this according to each job. Let's start with the LVN and what that person does. That I think would make it a lot more coherent and organized. The problem that I heard was every transition was next, another, here, next, another thing that goes on. And so it doesn't really flow like you're building a story there. I like the visual that gave us the table chart between the two jobs, the LVN and the RN, so I can see a little bit more, how one has greater degrees of responsibility, one contributes, but the other makes the more decision making or has greater responsibilities and that sort of thing. And you needed more things like that to help make it work together. Your attention device is your purpose statement. What comes after the purpose statement, some of your stories about, you don't want to be doing this, that, or the other thing, that should have been your attention device. When most people think of the nurses, they think of the people who are, cleaning the bedpan, inserting the tube, and dealing with all the stuff that most of us would go, oh, that's tough, that's uncomfortable. And admittedly, it is a tough job, but that's not the only job there are. Today I want to introduce you to all the kinds of jobs that are going on. That's the way I think it would flow more. And remember, you're trying to tell a story, not just drop information on us. If we just wanted information, we could get a book. The purpose of the speech is to pull us in and make it interesting, and you need to do that a lot more. All right, thank you.